Talk to me about these beautiful, beautiful Bradford pear trees. They're not so beautiful, are they?
No, I mean, from a distance, I understand that they can be considered aesthetically pleasing. But what people may not know about the Bradford pear tree, or the calorie pear tree, as some people call it, is that it is very stinky. If you've ever smelled it, it's been described as rotten crab or litter bug, really unpleasant smells. Also, it is very messy. It produces a fruit that our native wildlife does not really eat because it's not made for them, because it's not a native tree. So the fruit just falls everywhere. It gets all over everything. And then the growth pattern itself, the branches grow so thickly and they're not connected very strongly, so it loses a lot of branches. So all in all, it's a very problematic tree, but on top of it, it's just not a native tree. It's considered invasive because if you're driving around this time of year, you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
They spread so aggressively. So they are considered an invasive plant in this state. And so we do encourage people not to plant them at all because they're not helpful and they're kind of yucky. But they don't feed like our native birds. If our native birds do eat the fruit that comes off of them, it's kind of the equivalent to us eating a Big Mac. It doesn't provide the nutrients they actually need. So it's not helpful to our wildlife at all. But there are a lot of awesome native alternatives. Cherry trees, beautiful early bloomers, pink blooms, lovely. You can even see our peach tree, plum trees, any stone fruit trees are a wonderful alternative. Service berries are very early bloomer. A native bush that grows these lovely berries that taste kind of like blueberries almost. If you're looking for more shrubs, you could do a spice bush shrub that blooms pretty early and like a beautiful neon green. There's just so many native blooming plants that bloom right around the same time as Bradford pear that are a much better choice over the Bradford pear tree.
Don't get sucked in by that Bradford pear tree.
No.
Because you're right, they do, but for just a short period of time, and I didn't know about them not being native.
Yeah, non-native. They're actually from Asia. A lot of our non-native, a lot of our invasive plants are from Asia because their climate is very similar to ours. So it makes sense that things from over there will thrive over here, and especially if they're plants or insects that don't have any wildlife that eats them or hunts them over here, then they take off without anything keeping them in check, essentially is the issue. But what's very interesting is that if you go to China, they have the opposite problem. They have a lot of invasive plants from America and invasive species from America. And I recently got to speak to a large group of Chinese citizens, and I asked, and that was my first question, was what invasive species do you have from America that are causing so many problems? The American bullfrog, major issue over there.
Really?
Except that it's delicious. So they actually have been eating it and keeping the numbers in check by eating it. The same with crawdads. Invasive over there, but as we know, delicious over here.
Yeah.
So they've been eating crawdads. They've actually started farming crawdads over there. But some of the things that they are having issues with is goldenrod, Canadian goldenrod, which we love here. It's a native here. Yeah. Over there it's taking over and it's not native. So there's nothing keeping it in check. Nothing eating it over there. They have white moths are a big issue over there. Cabbage moths. The pine nematode, which is a microscopic worm that lives in the soil, that is decimating their pine trees. So it's just really interesting to see that, we have the stink bugs. They came over in the 1990s from China. Also edible, as a matter of fact, though Americans tend to not eat bugs, which is a shame because they're high in protein. I could go on and on about
We're going to have to
entomophagy.
talk about this more.
Oh, yeah. If you want to talk about bug eating, that's kind of my jam.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just very interesting that we have all these invasive plants and we're like, rah, rah, rah. But they're having the same issue over there with things that we hold dear to our hearts, like the Mississippi red slider turtle. It's cute. We love it. It's so adorable. We love it when we see it. Over there, it is a major issue. And it's not tasty, so they don't eat it.
Makes sense. We're dealing with it there, everybody, just because of the travel.
Right.
We travel so much.
Right, back and forth. But it also makes you wonder, like, what invasive species over here can we be eating to help get rid of it,
Yeah.
Like the stink bug, I guess.
I think I'll pass for right now.
Maybe it was prepared really well.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so that's just, a long roundabout way to talk about the Bradford pear tree. And it was very popular in the 80s and 90s in this area because it takes off very quickly. It roots very vigorously.
Downtown Fredericksburg.
Downtown Fredericksburg, Caroline Street was up and down with Bradford pears. All the new subdivisions were built. Every house had a Bradford pear in the front yard because they are pleasing when you take a picture of the house and there's this white blooming tree. But if you've ever lived with one, it's a really messy tree. The branches break all the time. The birds don't eat the fruit. So it really is a pointless tree for us to have.